Hello, and welcome back to the Untypical Parent Podcast Bookshelf. I am really pleased today to have the lovely Elly Chapple with us today. Elly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Very honoured to be here, Liz.
I'm delighted to have you here. So, Elly is an author, and she is the author of Diagnosis Human. Elly's come on to talk to us a little bit about the book. Obviously, she's not going to give us the in-depth kind of talk around the book because then there'd be no need to go and read it. But what I'm going to do is get Elly to tell us a little bit about where did the book come from, Elly? What inspired you to write this book, Diagnosis Human? Because I think it's a great title.
Well, first and foremost, that title was gifted to me by a very dear friend, Barney Anglers. The guy's amazing. I've known him a very long time. And he has what I call an exceptional laser eye. So he sees so far ahead, incredibly so. And he'll notice like the pothole 10 years down the road. And he'll warn you about it now. And we'll go, we don't need to worry about that. And I'm like, that's exactly what you should be thinking in terms of longevity of thinking. So I'm grateful that I have such a wise friend in Barney. And I love the title of his talk so much. And when I was thinking about the title for this book, I had an entirely different title. And it was just
Okay.
going to be Being Human. And I was just like, it's just not enough. It's not enough of a thing. And then I remembered this title in Barney's talk. And I was really like, it never left me because he really made me think. And of course, he went into, as he does, so much deep thinking around, who are we? How do we connect? And why should that even be important? And it really stayed with me. So I was chatting to him anyway, and he said, I want to gift it to you. Take it as a gift, use it. And I was like, really? Can I use that as the title of the book? Oh my goodness. Wow. So
Yeah.
it's Barney who gifted that to me because he really understood what I was trying to write and how I was trying to put down the very experience of walking with, really important, with somebody in their life experience, so alongside, and how you then translate what you've experienced, what you felt, and the shifts that have occurred, which all are predominantly not spoken at all. So how
Yeah.
do you translate that feeling into words? And for me, this was the real test, I suppose, for me, of whether or not I'd understood what walking with my daughter had meant and how it changed me as a person, how it changed so many people who interacted with her, and how her message, just by radically being herself, like literally the most radically authentic human on the planet, she is it, alongside so many other kids that we walk
Mm,
past.
mm.
And their authenticity is termed different, disordered, weird, strange, but it's actually what we're all chasing. So for me, this young woman has tied herself to her own lane firmly her whole life. And I have been brave enough to step in alongside her and go, okay, I'll walk with you. I don't really know what we're doing, but
Yeah.
let's do it. And
Yeah.
that is really difficult for an adult. And then for anyone who's supposed to be parenting or teaching, or you're the person that's in the know, aren't you? You're the person that knows how to do the stuff. And then you stand alongside someone, you go, I know nothing. Literally
Mm,
don't know what we're doing here.
yeah.
And it's very much a test of faith. Like, can I just sit and observe? Can I be fully present? Can I stop my monkey mind for 2 minutes and just think about what's showing up? What is she doing? Why is
Yeah.
she
Yeah.
doing it?
Yeah.
And can I stay there? Can I stay there longer than 5 minutes and not get
Yeah.
bored? And believe me, isn't that a test for us, Liz, in this day and age? Because we are actually actively taught to scroll quickly, to move on. 3 seconds and it's gone. Our brains are being
Yeah.
primed to take in
Yeah.
very
We
short
hardly ever
sets of
pause.
information. Yeah, we don't
Mm,
pause. We're not being taught to pause.
mm.
We're being actively encouraged to walk quickly past things. I won't get into the larger agenda of what I think's going on there, but I do think distraction's a great technique to get stuff done when
Yes.
people are looking over there. So Ella doesn't waver from what she's doing. So unless you walk and stay, and you have to really practice this, but she's a master in it. She's like, yeah, I do it every day. And we're there going, oh my God, I can't do this. It's really uncomfortable now. She should be moving past this point, like with the shoeness of the shoes. She shouldn't be obsessing over shoes. This is what the narrative was. What are you doing? You're letting her obsess over shoes, like, oh my God, this is really awkward. I'm totally in the space of discomfort now. Can you
Yeah.
stay in discomfort? Can you? Because that's a test. Do
And a
I trust?
strength as well to
Yes,
stay there,
totally.
because I think
Totally.
when I think about probably external people, like you said, there's that
Mhm.
pressure to experts might be saying to you exactly that. Let's move on from that.
Yeah.
How do we push you away from that? How do we get her to do other things? And actually sitting with your gut as a mum, as a parent, and going, no, I'm going to sit with this actually. I'm going to sit with what
Yeah.
she's doing.
I'm going to trust her. I'm going to trust that she knows what she's doing because she does. My daughter, I have learned the hard way, does nothing without reason. She's the
Yeah.
most reasoned, rational person I've ever met. She just isn't going to do it in this linear, normative way that we've been taught
Yeah.
is the right
Yeah.
way. It's actually not. It's a load of rubbish. We all know it is. There's never been a linear, normative way for any human being because we're not linear beings. We're not ones and zeros. We are massively multicolored, cultural, all kinds of minds, bodies, brains, experiences. That's what humans are. So that's our reality. And she's just demonstrating, like, yeah, so I'm part of this beautiful, diverse reality of human, and I do it this way. And then the system goes, oh, we don't like that. Because if you all do it your own way, then how are we going to manage?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's this conformity and compliance thing, because that's supposed to be easier, quicker. We can get more through the door. And now we've realized actually less and less are getting through and
Yeah.
less are making it through the eye of the needle
Yeah.
because we were never meant to. And at some point, we all catch up with this just isn't working. Doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
What she does works, and she gets to outcomes like understanding the concepts of shoe, the massive metacognitive concept of a shoe for a kid to learn, but then without vision. So how long does that take? And where's the script? And where's it written in a book it takes this on? It isn't. But she showed me how she did it. And I had to trust that she was doing that herself.
And I was going to ask you,
Yeah.
Ellie. So, what kind of things does your daughter have that make it that she does things in a different way and goes with her own gut? So, obviously, you just mentioned there she doesn't have sight,
Yeah. She's
and
blind. So she has a hearing loss. So she's deafblind is her predominant, her primary need. When you fill out forms, that's what the primary
yeah,
need
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So that is a very, very different experience of the world. And there's a real minority in this country of
yeah.
children, young people who are deafblind. And
And was
I
she
remember
born
speaking,
deafblind, Ellie?
she was, yeah. So she's
Yeah,
congenital deafblind. So there's congenital or acquired.
yeah,
Ella is congenitally deafblind. And
yeah.
this didn't come to light for me till she was 7 because it was missed. The dots weren't joined, so to speak.
Okay.
So when a child has vision and hearing loss in primary senses, you need to get somebody out who knows what they're talking about deaf
Yeah.
blindness, because that dual loss in primary senses is phenomenally impactful. It's how we navigate our world. It's how we stand up
Mm,
with our
mm,
balance. It's everything. So
yeah,
when those two primary streams of information are both impacted, it's incredibly stressful for the person. And the reason I know that is because I had the wonderful pleasure of speaking to Dr. Jan van Dijk, who was like a world leading expert on deafblindness. And me being me, wrote to him, hi, I'm daughter, mum of a girl in the UK. He's in the Netherlands. Anyway, he wrote back very kindly. And he just said, let me be really clear. She's in one of the most stressful situations you could ever imagine, because it's always going to be incredibly slow and everybody's always going to be pushing too hard,
yeah. And do
regardless
you
of how
think
skilled
as
they are.
well,
Yeah.
kind of from a primary sense, that
Hmm.
your sight and your hearing are probably your two most important senses that
Yeah.
keep you safe?
Yes, they are. Yeah.
They're your safety senses, it's being able to protect yourself. So that makes complete sense when you say
Although I
actually
would
how
say
difficult.
she uses another set of sensors in lieu
Yes.
of those
Yes.
to protect. She's developed another sense of safety, which you and I have talked about, which is mind blowing for me, because it's utterly relevant to everybody today is talking about psychological safety, aren't they?
Yeah.
How do we feel internally safe when the world's
Yeah.
going too fast, when there's too much pressure, when professionals are being squeezed, families are being squeezed, kids are being squeezed? Like, we're all under this ridiculous pressure of constantly needing to find, where do we feel safe in the world? And she's developed this inner, this is one of the things I talk about in the books. It's the pulse of intention, is what I called it. I didn't know psychological safety was a thing when I was writing this book. I didn't know about mirror neurons, emotional contagion. I didn't know about this
Yeah.
stuff. I then, having written down, like I say, this, how do I translate this felt experience? People are going to think I'm like talking absolute rubbish. What is it I've discovered? So I wrote it as we'd experienced it using the language I'd given it. And then I went looking for where in the world is this also happening for other people? And that's when I found the literature and the academic research, the lived experience. I was like, whoa, okay, so
Yeah.
it's a thing. Like,
Yeah.
other people are really experiencing what we've experienced. And then I dug more into the neuroscience side of it, because I'm really interested, how does it work on a science level? Because I know I know exactly how it works and how powerful it is on a lived experience level. But I wanted to understand, was there like a scientific basis to it? Because for me, evidence is really important, particularly when you're trying to bring people on a journey. And I'm offering the lived experience, but I want to also offer
Yes.
it's actually a thing somewhere if you're not sure. Because that's kind of how my brain works. So I'm like, I get that, but where's the logic bit? Because I just want to make sure it's all sitting. So it was really interesting to see the things Ella had shown us, like how she's developed her other senses for safety, for understanding who's in the room, what they're carrying. So we would talk about the emotional temperature of a room. So she can sense that. She has it down to a T. You're doing this. What are you doing here? Get outdoor by. I don't want that. You need to go and regulate. You need to she can somehow absorb and understand them. And lots of kids do this really well. The environment as a dynamic shared space, what's coming towards her with no vision and no hearing. And I think that's phenomenal. But I think also
Yeah.
this is something we all do, but we shelve it and we
As
need to
they, yeah.
trust. Yeah, we need to trust it. This is our inner knowing of when somebody walks in the room, we all go, oof, what was that? I
Yes.
just felt.
That kind of feeling that you get
Whoa.
that, yeah,
Yeah,
that
because
we ignore. Yeah.
yeah, the energy's shifted. Not going
Yeah.
over there.
Yes. Exactly that.
And this, I think, when people aren't predominantly using verbal, which takes up so much capacity, it's so
Mm,
effortful to use words. When you're not doing that, you can put huge amounts of effort into other things. And that's why I think we mustn't underestimate what children, young people who aren't using the expected normative ways of communicating or being in the world. But where are they directing their energy otherwise? Because they're able to do something very powerfully that we just aren't tapped into. So it's our job to be super curious about that. Like, what do I need to know? How do I learn about it? Well, the best way to learn is to sit with that young person in their experience for as long as it takes. And it's like, I was in a meeting yesterday and I have to use this language. She said, I'm taking the small wins. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It was the very small wins. And everyone else wanted to rush ahead. This person was like, no, we've got to take the small wins. This person needs to be walking really slowly with this. I can do that. I'm fine. Everyone else wanted to run. And this person knew you couldn't run. This is not going to work if we run. And it's being that voice in the room that says, guys, we've got to slow down. I know it's counterintuitive. I know it's not what we do. I know we don't have time. We can say that all we like, but we do actually. When you slow down, it's like time slows with you.
mm, mm.
You can create space differently. So I think it's really on us, the owners, to be really curious, super curious about what a young person's showing us. Whatever language they use or don't use, do we know it? How do we learn it? What's their culture? I'm not just talking about where they come from, talk about who they are. Like, what's their deafblind culture? What's their autistic culture? What's their ADHD culture? What's whoever and what kind you are. Do I know enough about your culture? Do you know enough about mine? Do you know that because I'm deaf, I'm a direct communicator and you might find that rude? Do I need to tell you about that? Do you need to learn about that? As in, deaf
Yeah.
culture is really direct. We don't do fluff. So rather than jumping to assumptions, I might not know enough about you, Liz. So I need to understand much more about you by listening carefully, observing, and sitting in that space of really learning to avoid diving in with an assumption that you're going to think, well, cheers, you didn't even get to know me.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
same with our kids, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's always been, isn't there, this, well, I hope we're moving away from it more now, but there's been this kind of push towards making people that are different and do things differently conform. They have to do it in the typical way, whatever that typical way is, because I haven't found it yet.
There isn't
But
one.
actually, like you're talking about, is actually sitting with them and meeting them, come
Yeah.
together with them. They don't have
Yeah.
to kind of leap over to your side and do it your way. But actually, can you meet them in the middle and find a way that they can do their thing and you can do that your thing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
neither is wrong.
No. How do we share space? Because
Yeah.
the whole notion of typical for me is annoying because as a species, we're not.
Yes.
We've never
And we're not
been
meant to be.
neurotypical.
No.
It's not even a thing. It's totally a misnomer. And because we're not, we've never meant what we've had are narratives wrapped
Yes.
around difference. Because I say in the book, I believe the biggest thing, we don't fear difference. What we fear is what it reveals. So it
Yeah.
reveals our
Okay.
truest selves. In the face of someone like my daughter who is rootedly, radically authentic, not everybody's comfortable with her being so utterly tied to her link. It's about what it shows up in them. It's
Yeah.
mirroring back to them the vulnerability they might feel in themselves, the stuff they've never dealt with, the fact that being different costs them. So they don't show that. And here's a young person like, I don't care. I'm just going to be me. If you are struggling with something, it's harder working in that space unless you've owned your own truth.
Yeah.
That's what it shows. That's what it creates is a sense of vulnerability for people that they're not comfortable with. And
Yeah.
discomfort, we naturally pull back from, don't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Anyone do that? It's not nice. It's
Yeah.
just like, that's the work.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
I was
work.
talking to another author actually, funny enough, the other day, and she was
Mm,
talking about despair and
yeah.
how we don't like to sit with despair, and sometimes we need to. We really need to sit with
Yes.
that despair to be able to find the next
Yes.
step forward. But
We
we
do. We
constantly
don't
go,
like
"No, I'm not going to feel
it.
that."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
not have anything uncomfortable. And also, current society and the structures, the system, social media, we're being geared towards you don't need to do discomfort, do perfection. Just do this
yes,
and everything gets solved. And we're constantly being sold the quick fix,
yes,
but it's not making us happy because those things don't work.
yeah,
The long
yeah,
term stuff that really shifts and changes who you are is the work that we all have to do. I know I've done it myself in the last 6 years, and that's digging into the stuff I was not comfortable about me, understanding myself, reflecting on stuff I'd done that I wasn't happy with how I'd reacted in moments. There
yeah,
was self work to do. Like we've all got to do this stuff. We've all got to own our own lane and be responsible for how we react and respond in the world. Because at the end of the day, everybody's human and the person we're interacting with has a backstory. We don't know what it is.
yes,
They could have had the worst morning of their lives. Do we really need to be
yeah,
screaming at someone who is having the worst time of their lives? Like that's, you know, a really strong example. But when I think about how mad I was all the time carrying around this loaded, utter fury because of what happened to my daughter, nobody wanted to share a space with me. I wouldn't have wanted to share a space with me. That's toxic,
mm,
you know? That
yeah,
doesn't say come and have a chat and let's sort things out. That says I'm just gonna like and it's totally righteous. It is totally because we get to that point. People have pushed us to that point. But to step change and get out into a different place for yourself and for your young person, I found that step changing and not reacting works far better. So a
Yeah.
considered paused response changes everything.
Yeah.
Somebody has to stop allowing it to go round and round and round. So the minute you step out, and everybody can do this, whether you're a therapist, a professional, a parent, yeah, we all have the power to step change. And the minute somebody goes, "Oh, I'm not going to go that way, I'm going to go that way," everyone goes, "What are you doing? Where are you
Yeah.
going? Where are they going?" And
Yeah.
but something has to move with it, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where are we
And it's
going?
not accepting
Who
it,
has
isn't it? I think some people are trying to offload stuff onto you, and you can go,
Yeah.
"No, thanks very much. I'm not having that. You can keep
Yeah,
it. You can keep
it's
that."
not yours to carry. I always
Yeah.
say to people, the only thing you are actually in control of is you, nothing else. And it's not yours to carry. It isn't. You mustn't take it personally. It is somebody else, leaking out of their space. That's on them. That's not on you. It's not
Yeah.
for you. If you react to everything, you will end up worn out, stressed. Ill. It will make you ill.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to be able to say, that's not mine. I don't need to take it on. I will stay in my lane. I'm going to stay focused. I know how I'm going to be in the moment. I'm going to respond. I'm not going to react. And yeah, we get it wrong as well. So we have to make room. We have to give grace to
Yes.
mistakes because we're human. We mess it up all the time. I regularly do that, but I am aware when I do it. And so I'm consciously aware. And I know that if it's with someone else, I need to repair that. So it's saying sorry. It's saying, "Oh, mum totally screwed up there. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just a human, don't always get
Yeah.
it right, don't profess to." And that in itself shifts everything, and I think it's breaking generational patterns when we do stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this book feels like it's big, Ellie. This has got some meaty stuff in it that
It has.
actually.
I really tried to be relatable, Liz.
Yeah.
I didn't write it for a particular group of people. I wrote
Okay.
it for everybody.
Yeah.
My vision for this book was the relatability of the human experience.
Yeah.
So I used our story to bring people in around a story,
Yeah.
but then the way I wanted to talk about the lessons Ella gave us, so every chapter is called a lesson
Mhm.
she gave me. And I really thought about what it is she was teaching me in those moments. And those things are relevant, whatever your life experience is. They're not disability or sen things, they're human things.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
wanted people to start really questioning the way we are with one another, the way we share space, like you said. How do we show up and agree to disagree? Because we need to. How do we stop attacking each other? How do we accept the beautiful, varied beings that we are? My daughter's blind. She can't see what you look like. She does not care. But she sure as hell knows how you show up in a space because you're
Yeah.
vibing it in.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is the stuff that's important. Emotions are contagious. We know through neuroscience that we're all affecting each other all the time.
Yes.
And one tug on the spider's web has an effect way down that web.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
being really consciously aware of everything we do affects somebody somewhere. What's the pulse of our intention? What are we owning our lanes radically? If we want to be really authentic, we've got to be able to look at the stuff we don't want to look at as well as the stuff we do want to look at.
Mm. Mm.
Like Ella does. That's how
You
many
know
kids.
what? I think I can think of there's a couple of people that are quite famous in the world at the moment that are making some decisions that could do with reading your book. I'm not going to name names. I'll probably get cancelled.
Feel free to send them.
I think this book needs to wing its way under their nose. What we're going to do, Ellie, is your book sounds wonderful. I can't wait. Is it
Thank
out on
you, Liz.
audio?
So we are
Coming.
recording it. So yes, we have the wonderful Joe Rook, who is the face of Amaze, if anybody knows about Amaze, the house tour. How I met Joe, I told you I won't go into it here, but it was very serendipitous. I was like, oh, what's going on here? She's
Yeah.
amazing. She's got a beautiful voice. And we're working on recording. I can't say when it'll be out because
Yeah.
it keeps moving and shifting, but I'm
Yeah.
hoping by the summer latest, this audio book
Great.
will be out there on Audible.
Perfect. But the book itself is already out, so people
Yes.
can go buy that, and I will
Yeah.
put the links for that in the show notes. And I will also put all the links for Ellie as well. Because Ellie, you also, just to briefly at the end, you also do something called flip the narrative or flip the script?
Flip the narrative, yeah.
Flip the narrative. Do you just want to give people a little bit about what that is that you do? Because I will also put some links for that in there as
What
well.
I do. I hate
What you
this. I
do.
hate this question. I'm Mary Poppins, Liz. I
Yeah, I like that.
basically rock up where people need me. I do some stuff, and then when they're doing it themselves, they don't need, and I go again. That is
Do
it.
you know what? That's the exact phrase that I use as well. I'm Mary Poppins with an OT
It
degree
is.
riding a
Do you know what I
motorbike.
mean? You sort of go in and go,
Yeah,
right, everybody actually knows how to do this. Everybody's forgotten because we're all completely drowning in speed, stress, do this, do that, too much
yeah,
pressure. So I go in and go, right, for the day, we're going to take all of that off. I'm going to sprinkle some magic. I'm going to talk about the stuff you actually know and remind you you know it. Boom, now you're doing it yourself and you don't need me anymore. Off I go.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what I do. So I kind of reactivate what I think people already know.
yeah,
I remind them that we need to flip things around. So the way we talk about young people like Ella and other young people, but indeed any human, we've got to think about what we're saying because none of us are really any different to the other. And we all have the same label, human. So we've got to think about in this interconnected space we live in,
mm,
how we affect one another and the language we use because our words are so powerful and they stay with people for a long time, or certainly the feeling, like Maya Angelou said, you might forget what people said, you will never forget how it made you feel.
yeah,
We've all had that. And
yeah,
it's that. And for any child or young person, whether they use language or not, you don't know how this stuff's landing.
mm,
So you have to be really careful about what you're saying because you could change your life. It's a sliding door moment, what we say, what we write down in a file, how we share information, how we talk about
yeah,
anyone. It's
yeah,
really powerful, this stuff. So I really talk about let's flip it round, let's look at it differently, turn it on its head. What do you see now?
yeah,
It's like optical illusions. You get people to look at them, everyone's going to see a different thing.
yeah,
So what's the right one? It's like that. So
yeah,
I just get people thinking. I like say Mary Poppins. I just sort of come in and do a bit of that, whatever it
yeah,
is,
yeah. And I
and
love
then I
that because
go again.
I feel
Yeah,
that as well, is that people, they do have those skills. They're not less of a
they
person
do.
just because they're having a hard time. And I think you
No.
and I are quite aligned in that in the way that we work together. I work with people that we support. It is very much that you've got it in you. It's just sometimes you've forgotten, or sometimes everything is
Yeah.
so heavy that you can't find it. And
Yes.
I talk about
Exactly.
borrowing someone else's brain for a bit. You just have to borrow
There
someone
you
else's
go.
brain to kind of get you through to the next step. So I will put all that in the show notes. So where you can find Elly's book, I'm going to keep an eye out for the audio coming out,
Okay.
and where
Okay.
you can find Elly and the support that she does offer as well. And that just leads me to say, Elly, thank you ever so much for coming on. I say I love the name of the book. Really excited to dive into it through audio. And I'm sure there'll be lots of parents out there that are really interested to have a listen of it. But thank you ever so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Liz. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Elly. Just before you go, I just want to give you a quick reminder that if you want to follow me on Instagram, the podcast has its own Instagram page, the Untypical Parent Podcast. And if you fancy maybe being a podcast host, I also have an Instagram page for the Untypical Podcaster, supporting those of us who feel like we maybe don't quite fit the podcasting mold, but really fancy trying our hand at podcasting. Make sure to go and follow me on those, and I'll see you at the next episode.